And we tried to do that. There's the American model that Monday morning your transition team goes in and the management gets changed and the American management gets put in place. The brands change, the names on the doors change, the name of the company changes. None of that took place. So whether we acquired Tetley Tea or Daewoo commercial vehicles or Range Rover and Jaguar or Chorus, did all of that happen? And I think that has been a methodology that seems to transcend and overcome any cultural issues that there may be, provided you satisfy yourself that culturally and value-wise, the two companies can work together. There have been cases in the past where the business fit has been good, but we've still decided it's be difficult for us to work with that company. And then we've not gone into that acquisition at all. Or it's not been so in acquisition, it's been in joint ventures. Basically, we've stayed away from a joint venture with a company where the business fit is good, but the cultural differences we feel would be difficult for us to work with.
Matthew Joshi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Being a member of Prime Minister's Council for Trade and Commerce, we have been working very closely with our current Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. Recently, you have expressed a deep sense of faith in Mr. Narendra Modi, telling that if Narendra Modi says that it will be done, it will be done. So, could you please elaborate on this?
What would you like me to say on that? I don't know.
If you would compare or contrast?
Sorry?
If you would compare them with your experience?
It's something I don't necessarily want to get involved in. I think both, in fairness, Dr. Manmohan Singh has presided over one of the greatest economic evolutions that India has had, the opening up of the Indian economy while he was finance minister. I grant you he had great support from a strong prime minister in Narasimha Rao at that time. I think India grew from a 4.5% growth rate to the 8+ growth rate that it had. And I, for one, was exceedingly bullish and proud of what India was able to do. In sort of in one swoop, India went from a command and control closed economy to an open, vibrant economy. I've not understood what has happened in the last 24 months that has made India nosedive, but all I can say is that the Prime Minister perhaps should have been more vocal and more forthcoming in his dissatisfaction for what was happening than we have seen the government being. We have seen the government take a view, I'd say government collectively, take a view that 7% is okay, it's not so bad, 5% is okay. Look at the UK or the US, look at their growth rates, it's okay. The rupee has gone from 46 to $1 to 60 $1, that's okay. Other countries have that. If that is going to be the view that a government holds, then undoubtedly there's nothing wrong. We'll be at 4.5%, which is what we were earlier, and everybody will rationalize. Nobody seems to be concerned to get collectively and with all parts working together to regain the kind of progress that we had. And many things have been put in place politically, like problems on land acquisition, issues on mining, various things which have paralyzed the country in many ways. So what is happening is inevitable. On the other hand, you have Mr. Modi, who has a very admirable track record in Gujarat. He has done a great deal in that state and made that state operate, even in this environment, as a vibrant state. How Mr. Modi will do when he has the whole country in his hands with maybe a coalition is yet to be seen. I would hope that if he were to come, whoever were to come, they would realize that India needs to be resurrected and not condoned for what is happening today. I trust there's no media here, so what I've said to you is my view, and it's a view that's made as an Indian who's proud of what we have achieved, and very sad to see India where it is today, because I don't think it needs to be there.
Shall we?
Good afternoon, sir. So India is seen as a country which is at par with the rest of the Asian nations when it comes to growing entrepreneurship. Even so, it is one of the worst performing nations in the world as far as women entrepreneurship is concerned. So why do you think such a gap exists? And what should be done to create an enabling environment for women entrepreneurs in India? And who should take the lead in this case?
I don't think I'm qualified to make a statement on that. Speaking for myself, I think that one has seen women entrepreneurs who displayed enormous vision and insight when they have come into that position of being able to be entrepreneurs. Whether it's a lack of facilities for women, be it in terms of funding, or it's not education, because if you look at the room we're in today, there are many more women in this room than there would have been 15, 20 years ago. And many of you may be, in course of time, at the top of your respective companies in which you are, and women are in fact in those positions in India and elsewhere. So what is it that makes less women-headed enterprises so in India as against somewhere else? And I don't have an answer for that. In companies like Tata Motors, one sees women engineers, women in management positions, etc. But you don't see as many as you do elsewhere. And I don't know what the reason is. One reason in India is often said that the woman employee is finally driven by the separation of her to her husband if she has to move in an organization, or to the home if she starts to have a family. And whether that's a greater tie in India than it is elsewhere, I don't know. But I don't think I'm in a position to answer the question. Maybe you can answer that better than me. So I'm now challenging you.
So I think the socio-economic environment in India is such that women entrepreneurs do not feel very encouraged as such.
Sorry?
The socio-economic environment of India does not facilitate women entrepreneurs as such.
I don't think that's wholly true. You look at the banking industry, you've got women in leadership positions there. You may argue that that's a different kind of job, but it's not. Responsibilities are the same. You've got biotech companies headed by women. You've got very few women in science, but you have women in serious positions in marketing, maybe not so very much in engineering. And I can't say how many years it has taken women to reach the kind of openness that you see in Western countries that they have as against India. So maybe we need to study more as to what the differences are.
I think it will be a slow change with the government promoting women education at the grassroots levels and the industry encouraging more women employees and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but
within itself.
now we're getting into a debate, but the United States has more women in entrepreneurial positions, but India has had women prime ministers, which the United States has not had. So I don't know what the answer is.
Okay. Dr. Jacqueline.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay.
All of the students in this room will be taking our baby steps in the world of business a couple of months from now. So are there any dangers or threats that we as young business professionals need to guard against? How would you advise us to go about doing so?
I don't know if there's anything to guard against, but it would seem to me that you're going out into the world of business or science or any profession you do. You need to ask yourself why you're there. Are you there for money? Are you there for personal glorification? That's a bad word. Personal growth that you wish to have? Or are you going because you really want to make a difference in the world by what you do? And I would hope that it's the third of the examples I gave, because if you go into the world quite convinced that whatever you do, you're going to do in a manner that makes a difference, a good difference, assuming that you're not all involved in making chemical weapons to kill people that you don't like and so on, but if for good reasons you want to make a difference, then I think you can continue to have that passion as you grow through your careers, then I would say that you probably will make a difference and you will rise. You'll not be diverted by issues of money or issues of personal growth. And the only advice I would give is I see a lot of young, bright professionals making statements like, I've charted my career path and in 5 years I should be X or Y or Z. I always feel that that's perhaps something that maybe is a motivator for some people, but it's also a demotivator when you don't achieve it. Because someone who decides that that's what they're going to do and they don't get to where they have unilaterally decided they should be, it leads to a discontent. They finally leave a company to go to another company prematurely before they are recognized in their company. They don't start a new enterprise, despite what you say, because they think it's too risky for them. And so I think you need to be convinced and consistent that you want to make a difference. And a difference not for yourself, but a difference in terms of the people you're serving, the customers you're serving, or the markets you're serving.
The next person is your namesake, sir.
Hmm?
Your namesake, Ratan Taparia.
Both initials also. Yeah.
So we have always believed that a common man is the one who suffers from bureaucracy all the time. But then you, as the India's biggest industrialist, even you had to tackle bureaucracy all the time. So what has your experience been, and will you like to share any of the takeaways?
Oh, sorry, I didn't understand the question.
So we believe that a common man faces a lot of bureaucracy all the time. But then you, as the India's biggest industrialist, you had to face a lot of bureaucracy, be it during 92 or be it during the latest Singur case. You had to face a lot of bureaucracy. So how has your experience been? And would you like to share any takeaways?
You know, I would venture to say that all of us, in some form or another, have faced difficulties. It's not wholly true that the common man is the only one that faces difficulties. Sometimes those difficulties are less in magnitude to the person involved than what someone who doesn't wish it and has never experienced hardship is made to feel. So, starting with the premise that we all have to face difficulties of one sort or another, I would say that all of us have a person that has not to face any difficulties, I think, ends up being a person that's an unreal person in the world because he doesn't know how to deal with difficulties. And I believe every problem you face is a learning exercise for you and makes you stronger and more builds your character. If you don't have that, you have a silver spoon in your mouth from the time you're born, then you're probably going to grow up remaining like a spoiled child and not contributing to society as you should. I think it's a good thing for people to face difficulty because you understand hardship and you can equate to people when they come to you, you can equate to market situations as they occur, and again, try to do what you think is best for the circumstance that there is.
So specifically, when you're dealing with government.
Sorry?
Difficulties when you are specifically dealing with government, as in bureaucracy, red tapeism. So.
With government?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes because the government makes the laws that you have to follow, and some of them are less rational than you'd like to believe or less understanding that you'd like to believe. Those are one-way frustrations. Other than going and hanging yourself from the ceiling fan, there's nothing more that you can do except to live within the framework of that. What's very corrosive is if your decision is that you will circumvent that law and you will bypass it and find a means of doing exactly what you wish, ignoring the law, considering yourself above that law. I think that is much more corrosive than anything else you may do. If you have to curtail an operation because of law, that's the law of the land. You deal with that. You maybe go bankrupt. That's a horrible thing, but you deal with that. But if you found a way to circumvent that law, to work against it, to do things illegally, I think that's a horrible thing for anybody to consider as a way of dealing with a hard problem. And that would apply very much in the case of dealing with the government when you find that you have an intractable situation with them.
Vaishnavi?
There is a rule that requires companies earning a net profit of over 5 crore to spend at least 2% of the average net profit for the preceding 3 years on CSR. Do you think that such isolated expenditures could have significant impact on the moral fabric of society in general and business in particular?
I haven't heard very much what was,
This 2%
yeah, CSR.
on CSR.
Yeah.
Is it going to change in a major way the
Yeah.
moral fabric of the society in general and business in particular?
It's a good question. I don't know how to respond to it, but I've thought about that dilemma for several weeks now. There have been companies that have given percentages of the net income as CSR out of a desire to donate something back to society. Now what is being done is it's being imposed like a tax. So the companies that are doing that are just earmarking funds that they may or may not have any intention of themselves getting involved with, but outsourcing that to an NGO or to an organization to deal with, and their responsibility ends there. That should not be what CSR is all about, because what is also likely to happen is we'll see a growth of NGOs, several of them spurious NGOs, to be able to take this money that's coming in, which has to be disbursed. And it may be disbursed, it may be short-circuited, it may come right back to the promoters of the company. Any number of things could happen. You may well have a situation where after some years, the government decides that this manner of CSR is highly abused, and then they impose very